So this is my side plate, which goes onto the side of the engine where the oil filter takeoff goes. And funnily enough, down there, we can't see, down there, there's some lumps and bumps. Hello, Jessica. Lumps and bumps. And so I made this plywood version, and guess what? It's got to have some bits cut off. Just there, just there. Perhaps it's not surprising, considering the original is kind of triangular. So yeah, okay. Prototyping is wonderful fun. Prototyping is wonderful fun. So I'm going to take my cutting disc now and cut these. Are 10mm thick. So that's going to take me a while to cut these corner pieces off. So let's see you in a minute. So that's my modified shape, which I did with a slitting disc on my angle grinder. And well, before finalising it, I'll see if it fits. And I can report that it's very, very nearly there, and probably finishing it off will provide enough extra. So back in a moment. Okay, so I've finally got the mounting plate onto the side of the engine. You might be able to see it down there. I'll zoom you in. Just the edge of it, complete with the Mocal oil takeoff plate. There it is. It's a tight fit down there. Or certainly it's a tight fit at the top of the engine bay. So I'm kind of part way to having a engine mounting stroke exhaust manifold combo that actually works. And this is the exhaust manifold itself. Let me zoom you out. And this finally, well, maybe finally, is what the plate actually looks like. So departing quite a long way from being rectangular. In fact, it probably could go back even more triangular than it is right now, because this is the piece effectively that it's replacing, which is distinctly triangular, but we'll see about the bracketry which needs to attach to this before being sure about that. So here we have a standard oil filter O-ring into a machine slot. So it's just like an oil filter, not quite the same as the original Ford Jaguar part, which has got a much smaller O-ring in there, but does the same job. And then this part, which my intention originally was to have it so that what am I doing here? Did I have that in back to front? I might have had it in back to front. Hold on a second. Right, yes, so the oil sandwich plate goes on here. The this adapter plate goes onto the engine. And my original idea was that, in fact, the oil filter should go on here. And but I now realise there's definitely not enough room for that to happen. So I could have done this differently. So in fact, this piece I'm unscrewing here This is a standard Mocal adapter. And this is my special one that I had my Benfleet oil shop machine shop make for me. It's a kind of an extended version, and quite conceivably this could have been made in one piece, and maybe should have been, but I didn't realise how pushed for space I was. So anyway, this is where we are. So we have an oil seal that mounts the engine block, and then we have the adapter plate which has its own oil seal, and then that screws on there. And either, sorry about the chainsaws, we have a choice: either the oil filter directly goes on there, or there's a cap which Mocal do, which blanks that part off, and then these ports here are used to connect up to a remote filter, remote oil cooler, or both. And I think that's actually what's going to happen. So I'll get the cap on there, making that as short as possible. There'll be no problem with space down there, and then these parts will be connected remotely off down the front of the engine somewhere probably. So I need a remote filter head and an oil cooler, obviously. But yeah, this is the important part, and the threaded part here is extra long compared to the ones you can buy off the shelf, because it has to go through this. So that's why it had to be specially made rather than off the shelf. So I now have to mimic this thing, which was working and operational, fixed in the car before. Mimic the position of all that with this, if you can see what I'm talking about. So somehow I'll need to have a box section, might as well be, and coming over the top and attached to this plate. And that's the next part. So I think I shall start by cutting off another piece of box section. In the interests of not reinventing the wheel, I'm going to try and make this look pretty much the same as this. So the top plate here will be this, and the I don't know what to call it, the sticking out piece will be like this, and there'll need to be some bracing down here somewhere. But yeah, not reinventing the wheel is a good idea. I think you can see I'm fairly confident about this. Quite big tacks, aren't they? Blinking out, that's a lot of noise going on outside. Just comparing the angles. This looks pretty good to me. 90 degrees there to there, and there to there as well. That's 90, and so is this. It's got a right angle in there. So I just need to make sure that the distance from here to here is the same as distance from here to here. That's slightly more difficult to measure, but that looks like 5.5 centimetres, and that is indeed 5.5 centimetres as well. So that's nice. So I shall tack this one on, I think, as well. Need to get the angle the same. It's going to be slightly more difficult, I think. What is that angle? Looks like about 45 degrees to me. Yeah, I think I'll tack that on left to right as well, because it's not quite in the middle. See? Not quite in the middle. In fact, the outer edge of this lines up the outer edge of that. Straight line pretty much down there. So I do the same thing as that. This can only be a tack. I think I might fully weld in here actually before doing that, while I can still get at it. I'll tack that on, this on, that is, and it will go on there. This one really will be tacked because the position is a bit more of a suck it and see type of thing. So I'll give that a clean off. So we're going to go with that. Make sure I get it the right way up, that's important. And there will need to be a hole drilled in this. Gives me another area of adjustment. Right, I'm just going to go with a tack. Right, well, I might as well do one on the other side, I suppose. Okay. Right. I'll clean up while I have a cup of tea. See, I've got a bit of splatter on there. Oh no, it's come off already. Yeah, it's looking quite promising, I reckon. Not bad. And after several hours, which I couldn't possibly film and work on at the same time, we have this, which I think you may recognise. You may recognise is a similar style to this, but this is probably quite a bit more elegant. Needs some paint on it, and importantly, I'll need to check that it actually fits. Make sure I can put the bolts in, stuff like that. Well now, here we have the engine mounting fitted. It's such a tight fit. We also have, I don't know if you can see this, we also have the level, and we also have the oil cooler and filter. Yes, we now have the oil filter and the oil cooler take off, which I will not be putting the oil filter direct onto that, so I'll need to get a cap piece to go on there. But finally we have the engine resting in place with an adequate position for the oil takeoff. Now, it's a very, very tight fit, all this, and of course one of the real objectives was to get this thing in. I had it in before, but I did not have it in at the same time as the engine mounting, because a big tubey thing's coming out the side. It's possible I might have to relocate the lambda sensor, but I think that's pretty trivial after what I've just been through. So that should all go in, and I'm worn out. I've been at this all day. It's been only a few moments for you, but putting all that stuff, test fitting, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit grind, a little bit cut, it's very hard work. Still, it's the second time I've done this on this side of the engine, so total of 3 times, because I had it on the other side as well. And yeah, making engine mountings is seriously hard work. So I have here, delivered by the postman just now, the I think they call it a mushroom cap, which is the thing that takes or changes the oil sandwich plate and makes it into, or makes the sandwich plate into a remote filter and remote oil cooler connection, as opposed to just an oil cooler connection. So put this on instead of the oil filter, and the hoses go off to somewhere else in the car where both the oil cooler and also the oil filter can go. So this completes the recipe, if you like. This completes the recipe for the engine mounting. So I'll just stick it on then. And after a considerable amount of further trimming, I end up with this this thing. It possibly could stand a bit more trimming actually, but I have my reinforcer up here, so I left it like that. But it actually, I'll just go and fetch it. It actually bears, something more of a similarity to the shape of the original Jaguar Ford part. Maybe that's not surprising. It does indeed push me further towards my idea that this engine was never intended for rear wheel drive installation, and for that reason it didn't have a proper engine mounting on this side. So when they came up with this thing, well, you can even regard it as a bit of a bodge, I suppose. But anyway, I think it now does go on. Let's just quickly... Nearly there. This is quite a fiddle. I might well go to studs with nuts rather than bolts going in as they are at the moment. Now I do need a 25mm socket to go on the main spigot, which I don't seem to have, which is a bit weird. So I have to get one of those. But anyway, that is now fully fitted. I guess there's the possibility that it wasn't quite in position, considering the amount of fiddling I've just had to do. But I doubt it's very much. He says, fingers crossed it won't be very much of that. But this is my new left-hand engine mounting, which leaves space over here, which is my whole objective. So that, and this would be the final thing, so that the exhaust manifold can go down there. Let's see. And finally, exhaust manifold and engine mounting at the same time, complete with the remote oil filter takeoff, which I shall just show you. Here it is. Remote oil filter, which has a number of different orientations possible. And even the lambda sensor, well, that could cause some problems if I want to get it out. Not sure if I can get a smaller one, but at least it's in there. That's one thing. So yeah, I think. Well, okay, it needs some paint on it. It does need some paint. Where's the actual bobbin thing? Oh, here it is, still in the engine bay. The actual bobbin thing, which sits on the chassis. I can envisage that it could be useful to have a slot, so it can be slidden from the side with a plate on top. Not sure if that's necessary. We'll have to wait till later, but that's fine details really. I think though that we can regard the left-hand engine mounting stroke exhaust manifold situation sub-project finished at this point.